This is Ice Cream Gecko, and in today's video we're going to take a look at baked beans. Heinz beans in a rich tomato sauce without added sugar, and they're apparently high in protein. Depends on what you call high in protein. The protein amount isn't as high as I would think something is when it's specifically labeled as high in protein, but whatever. This has been sitting in the basement for the best part of its life. This expires this month in this year, and therefore I think this is the perfect time to take a closer look at this particular product. I've got to admit that this was maybe bought in a rush of optimism that this sort of meal does actually taste like something that I don't know, supplies pleasure in a way other than just nutrition in an emergency scenario, something like that. And they've been in DayZ, which is a game that I played for quite some time, that I have sunk way too much time into, and that is not necessarily rewarding in a way that would justify spending hundreds of hours in it. Still, this sort of stuff kind of fits the bill of some sort of survival prepping sort of stuff, and I'm into that sort of thing sometimes. I've got like weird sort of urges sometimes for a couple of weeks or months where I'm into stuff like that and then not anymore, and then it comes back next year. Anyway, pause if you want to read the ingredients list right here. So first ingredient is without sugar, Zusatz, added sugar, and 25% less salt. And we've got baked beans in tomato sauce with sweetness? What? Okay, isn't that lovely? It's not the ingredients list, it's just the description. Yeah, I should have maybe taken a look at the can prior to making a video about it. 415 grams are in here, and natural weight oscillations are going on. I would assume. Pause if you want to read the nutrition table right here. Pause if you want to read the ingredients list right here in German and in French. Here I've got the preparation instructions for a microwave with 850 watts. I only have one with 800 watts. It usually is fine when it comes to wattage though. 1.5 minutes, we heat that up. Probably not on this particular tin. And after that we're going to stir it and heat it up for another minute. You can also heat this up on the stove. I've got to say that I've never really used the stove when I can use a microwave, and it's not like completely bonkers to do, because usually just heating stuff up on the stoves takes years longer, it feels, than heating stuff up in the microwave. Microwaves are great. I love microwaves. Pause if you want to read this stuff right here. I don't know, marketing, yabba dabba doo, I don't care about that. Let's open this up now. So it looks like it should, I guess. Okay, I try to not fling like tomato sauce without added sugar all over my disc around here. It smells like the regular baked beans from Heinz. No other scent to it. No. Looks exactly like the regular ones, smells exactly like the regular ones. So let's take a look at the sauce all by itself on the spoon right here. It doesn't really look all too different either. Just a thin, too sweet tomato sauce. No more sugar in here, but now they put sweetness in it. I do not know why why those sauces are always that sweet. I think it would be, for me at least, a lot more enjoyable if they weren't sweet, but maybe a bit sour, like tomatoes are, right? That would be nicer. That sweet sort of tomato sauce always puts me off. Flavor-wise, I don't even know. It tastes a bit less sweet than the regular stuff, but still, it's still too sweet. It's weird. I don't know what it is. Like baked beans and sweet stuff. I don't know. I do not get it. Consistency-wise, they are, as expected, exactly like the regular ones. Not a huge amount of flavour to them. Got that very distinct baked bean texture that I failed to describe properly in English. In German, I would say some sort of almost mehlig, so floury is something I would say in German for a particular consistency. But it doesn't 100% fit the bill in this case. And I do not think that this is the proper description for that particular texture in English. Pretty certain that it isn't. Okay, another spoonful of that. Now, brilliant stuff. Okay, I'm gonna put this into the microwave now. I try to remember to take the spoon out and take, well, the goods out of that tin and put them into something that is microwave safe. I hope that I try to remember that. Whether or not I have succeeded with that particular attempt of keeping things safe is something that you're going to find out in just a second. Fantastic. My brilliance knows no bounds. I have completed heating up the baked beans. I do not know if this is something that has ever been said in a sentence, in a string of sentences like this. I'm certainly unique in that regard, I would assume. It's now they still smell like they usually do. I've got to say that I'm not really all that much of a fan of those baked beans. Maybe I've said that before, but when you heat this sort of stuff up and you have to rethink your decision of purchasing this, opening the can and actually sacrificing clean dishes for it, and you really rethink your decisions in this particular meal choice. Yeah, that's something I want to say for the record right now. Scent-wise, it smells a little bit more pleasant when it is warm compared to when it is cold. And usually when you see baked beans in some sort of arrangement, like quite often it is placed as a side dish to sausages with toasted bread, with other stuff on a plate for an English breakfast, something like this. I do have a feeling though that mostly those baked beans are consumed all by themselves, maybe with a slice of bread at most, but otherwise it seems to be just I would assume a boring, sad meal. It appears as if I am really putting off eating this, right? Anyway, let's just go for it. Delicious. No, it really isn't delicious, I wouldn't call it that. It's boring. It's better than the regular one because there's less sugar in here. It is less sweet, still sweetness in there, but less sweet. And now when it's actually warm, it is less disgusting in contrast to the cold stuff. Which is interesting because when you've got canned ravioli, they are not... The discrepancy, I think, between them being prepared and them being cold is a lot less worse than it is right here. This sort of stuff right here, when you eat it cold, it's just properly sad. When it's warm, it could be considered a meal. With those cold ravioli, I think they're fine when they're cold. They've got some sort of flavor to them, some sort of mix of textures with that pasta, with the filling, with a bit of that sauce on the outside that makes them be a meal on their own. This stuff right here doesn't really work this way. But it's okay-ish when it's warm. Consistency-wise, they're a bit softer, those beans, when they are heated up, and the sauce itself feels less slimy when it's warm. That's also a bonus of that energy that we just put in this stuff. When that sauce is cold, it's quite slimy almost, and when it's sweet, like the regular sauce, then it's really sort of disgusting. When it's warm, it's a lot better. I do not know what to say about this at this point in time, so I think I'm just going to finish this off, and I'll be back with you in the review sheet in just a second. The consumption process is complete, and we're ready to jump into the rating with the review sheet. First impression-wise, I've got to say that this has been fine. It's baked beans in a can with tomato sauce that is sweetened with sweeteners, artificial or not, I don't know. It's still too sweet. No added sugar, but still too sweet in my opinion. Scent-wise, looks-wise, from the first opening of this has been fine though. I can't really complain too much about it. It is, after all, edible, and looking at it, smelling it and eating it is not going to kill you, so it is basic nutrition that is perfectly acceptable. Although I don't know, when it comes to enjoyment of this stuff, flavors vary, I guess. Color-wise, like I said, it's been looking fine. Didn't really look too different from the regular stuff, and baked beans are not necessarily exciting when it comes to the looks department. Yeah, overall fine in the first impression, and colors therefore. Consistency and texture-wise, it is a bit unfortunate that this sort of what I like to consider emergency food does taste not that great when it's cold, and that the consistency of this stuff is actually almost awful when it's cold. That sauce is a bit slimy when it's not properly heated up. That is quite unfortunate. And the beans themselves aren't really all that great either when it comes to consistency. Baked beans in a can are something to, I don't know, forget at times, but it's like not outrageously bad or anything. It's just the dish itself that's weird. Not an insult to Heinz baked beans in particular from my side here. Taste-wise, 2 out of 5 available points. It's still too sweet, in my opinion, and flavor-wise, in any other way, it is still boring. So I don't really know what to give baked beans and tomato sauce right here, other than a 2 out of 5. Don't really know what to say about that. 0.75 points in the themalization department, simply because when I picked this up, when I opened this up, I expected something that might be better than the original, because there is no added sugar apparently. Less sugar in overall, less sweetness overall, maybe no sweetness whatsoever. That would be great for a hearty meal like beans, but it is still too sweet. And even when they say that they put less sugar in here, I think there's still too much sweetness in here. So 0.75 out of 1 available point is the rating in the themalization department. You can make of that particular point what you want. If you want to see it as a 1 out of 1, then go ahead. 5.75 is therefore the final rating for the Heinz baked beans less sugar. Alright, this is it for this particular video, I think. Heinz baked beans, something that I thought I took a look at previously in a video. I think I didn't really. I used to have one of these knockoffs from Lidl or Aldi when it comes to those baked beans. I tried the little ones a few years ago. I've got to say that those put me off for good, for the most part, because when you've got like a very basic, unappealing dish like baked beans in a can from Heinz, for example, you don't necessarily like them, right? And you then take those 2 ingredients and make them even cheaper and even less well tasting, then you're not necessarily setting yourself up to be a winner. And that was my last impression that I've got, I think, from baked beans in tomato sauce, and therefore I wasn't really all that excited trying this today. But it's been fine. It's baked beans in a can. I mean, what do you expect? Anyway, if you've got a question or a video suggestion, leave it in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more videos just like this one, please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'm going to see you soon. Until then, cheerio!